Roller coaster manufacturers are responsible for building some of the best rides in the world and some of the worst rides in the world. Some of you may have favorite manufacturers and incredibly hated manufacturers, but today we are going to ignore all that and only look at their finest work. A manufacturer can be god-awful, but as long as they made a singular masterpiece, that's all what matters. So in today's video, we are going to be asking the question, what is the best coaster for every manufacturer? To make this video on the shorter side, we are only talking about 15 major manufacturers that are well known for their extreme coasters. Otherwise, we will be here all day. So without any more rambling, here is the best coaster for every manufacturer. By the way, we are going in no specific order at all, so Mack Rides is up first. Mack Rides is starting to become a world-class manufacturer and has a long history in the industry. If you want to know more about them, we made a whole video on Mack and the great things they are doing at their company. So what is the best Mack coaster? Well, there are a ton of options, but here is what my list narrows down to. You have DC Rivals Hypercoaster, one of the best traditional hypers in the world. You have Beyond the Cloud, a world-class Mack launch coaster, and you have Ride to Happiness, a god-tier Mack extreme spinner. Now, what wins? Well, Ride to Happiness does. I think it's pretty clear to say this. I mean, Ride to Happiness takes what an Intamin Blitz does and adds spinning. It's in everyone's top 10 if they have ridden it, and most people have literally zero complaints with the coaster. It's world class, and no one is disagreeing with me here. I'm really curious to see how Hyperia and Starfall Racers would stack up to something like Ride to Happiness, especially because the strange banking on Hyperia is so out of this world. There's also a rumored extreme spinner coming to Holiday Park in 2025, so that has potential to be the best as well. Next up is GCI, our first wooden coaster manufacturer. Now it's really hard to pick out a specific coaster for this list. GCI is consistently middle tier. They make solid rides and you really cannot go wrong with them. Another thing is a lot of their crazy coasters are done in China, so that's where we really are going to be focusing right now. Both Wood Coaster and Python and Bamboo Forest are world-class rides that are complemented well by its terrain. After talking to someone who has ridden Wood Coaster, I'm going to pick it because it in theory has some of the strongest and most sustained airtime out of any GCI, and most importantly is placed in an absolutely beautiful setting. However, if you don't like my pick, don't worry, Mystic Timbers is perfectly acceptable. Next up is Intamin, and there's a pretty clear winner for me. Intamin is a great manufacturer at taking risks, and their Intamin Blitz model is near perfect. And what makes a near perfect coaster even better? Theming. So yep, you guessed it, Velocicoaster is the best Intamin coaster in the world. I have no idea what else you expected. It's my number one coaster, it has an elite layout and world-class theming. I don't know if there's a better combo. I really wish I got more rides on this coaster, but even with the few I have, I stand my Velocicoaster at number one, and I am interested to see how that will change over time. Next up is B&M, which is a consistently good manufacturer. A lot of their rides are supporting cast coasters except one model, the Hyper model, and it's a blowout here. Fury 325 is obviously the best B&M coaster. In fact, it's so obvious that it would be hard for me to understand any other argument. I mean, if you don't like airtime, first of all, who are you? Then maybe you won't like Fury, but the intensity and speed is also there, so I would call it a day with that one. The next best B&M is probably a Hyper like Shambhala, or maybe something like Flying Dinosaur. I don't know, I just feel like Fury really blows out the competition here. Next up is the smallest manufacturer on this list, and this is Chance Rides. Chance Rides hasn't done a lot of good, but they have done one amazing thing, and that is their Hyper GTX model. There's only one installation of this model, and that is Lightning Run. We know this coaster for having tons of airtime and such a small layout. It's a perfect combo for parks on a budget. Now I do have a lot of skepticism over the future of this model. Like, Hot Wheels looks so incredibly average to me, but I'm still holding hope for the future of this company, and Lightning Run is an amazing start. CCI is up next, and there are a lot of solid wooden coasters to choose from. The first thing that comes to my mind is Ghost Rider, because that is my personal favorite Woody, though I've been on like -2 Woodies. Ghost Rider is an absolutely amazing layout, though the personality that it has today is GCI's doing, but I would still classify it as a CCI. As for other coasters, I think Shivering Timbers really wins here. This is a world-class wooden coaster, has an amazing first half. It does get a bit questionable on the second half, but the world-class first half truly defines this ride. Next up is Gerstlauer, and I have a pretty strong opinion on this without having really ridden many Gerstlauers. Schwarz de Karten is the best Gerstlauer. The reason for this is not necessarily the coaster itself, but the world-class theming and experience that HANSA-PARK put together. If you want to talk about a full package experience, then Karten is the real deal. The best part is that it's a good coaster that's filled with whip and airtime as well. I think it would be one of the most ideal coasters for my personal preferences, and for those reasons, it wins for the best Gerstlauer coaster. Back to more Woodies, we have the Philadelphia Toboggan Company. I've not been on a single PTC coaster, so I don't have a lot of credibility talking about this. However, from an outsider's perspective, Phoenix looks the best. Not only is this in the top half of everyone's wood coaster rankings, but it won the Golden Ticket Award for the best wooden coaster, which means absolutely nothing, but hey, it's still a solid Woody that is much deserving of any award. SNS is up next, and we all know what this is going to be. SNS has made a bunch of good air launch coasters, and then they have made 40 coasters. and everyone who is anyone loves 40 coasters, so it's gonna be one of them. So which SNS 40 is better? That's the real question. Edgenica or Dinoconda? I'm gonna have to go with Edgenica as the better coaster, but it really could be debated as they are both world-class SNS coasters. Edgenica just looks more appealing to me because of the colors, and it's more accessible. Gravity Group is up next and has a very clear winner for me, and that is Voyage at Holiday World. We all know and love this crazy coaster. We all have heard the wild tales about how this runs at Hollywood Nights, and it's true. Voyage is absolutely out of this world, and for all the right reasons. It's an insanely long layout that's packed with airtime, and while you're doing all that, you're also flying through the woods. This seems like a really good gig to me, especially when you turn off the trims in the middle of the night. Man, I want to go to Hollywood Nights so badly. Next up is Aerodynamics. I've never really liked Aero as a manufacturer, but they have grown on me in the past couple of years. I see the charm in old Aero loopers, but I still don't enjoy them as much as other coaster enthusiasts do. On the other hand, X2 has grown on me a lot, and I do thoroughly enjoy the coaster now. I still heavily prefer airtime layouts, but X2 is a solid ride and definitely the best coaster from Aero. Next up is Premier Rides. I feel like this is a manufacturer that's starting to take a little bit more of a risk. They have been pretty solid in all of their editions and haven't done anything too crazy. Of course, they are known for their Skyrocket 2s and their god-awful comfort collars.
Hey, I keep chops on my neck!
But none of these are the best coaster for Premier. That award goes to the Mr. Freaks clones. These are amazing launch coasters that are super intense and deliver the dose of positive G's that every enthusiast craves, and honorable mention to Icebreaker, which is a top-tier family thrill coaster that packs in a surprising amount of airtime. Vekoma is up next, and this is the manufacturer that has really turned it around. 10 years ago, the best Vekoma was like Rock and Roller Coaster or something, but now there is so many amazing options. It's taking every single bone in my body to not put Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind here. I seriously love that coaster so much, and it's my favorite Disney ride, but I think Fly at Fantasyland is a much better coaster once I go out and actually ride it. Like Coaster is also a huge contender, but Fly has theming and I like it, so go cry about it. Next up is a manufacturer that has probably not made a good coaster yet, and that is Zamperla. Zamperla is looking like the manufacturer of the future, keyword being future. As of now, Zamperla does not have a lot to their name. Their best constructed coaster is probably Thunderbolt at Romaland because it's a Thunderbolt with a cool station, but that's at best a lame excuse. If you want to look at what they have planned, you have Top Thrill 2 and the reworked of Fiato. Both of these coasters could be a contender, but as trying to launch coaster is definitely going to win here. I saved the best for last. We had none other than Rocky Mountain Construction. RMC makes consistently the best coasters, and honestly, out of all of their rides I have ridden, Jersey Devil has been the only real letdown. I feel like most of their coasters could land a spot on this list if you really wanted to. The competition is so fierce that I can name a bunch of RMCs that people say is the best. Steel Vengeance, Zodra, Air Force 1, and Iron Gwazi are widely debated as the best RMC, and which one you really prefer comes down to personal preference. For me, it would probably be Steel Vengeance. For Flashwing, the editor of this channel, it's Iron Gwazi. So there's no clear answer, but I'm gonna give it to Iron Gwazi because Flashwing has actually ridden it, and recency bias goes hard. That's all for today's video, guys. As always, make sure to like and subscribe, and join the Discord, link in the description. I'll see you next one. Have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.